Welcome into Real Kyper and Bourne. My name is Justin Bourne. We are joined today not by Nick Kyprios. We got JD Bunkis in the house. Bunk, thanks for joining. How are you?
Good. What an upgrade.
I know.
What a massive swing for the show.
This is great. We got technical directors Frank Braska and Derek Brandeo. We're live on Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet 590, The Fan in Toronto, and streaming always on Sportsnet Plus. If you miss our show live, you can always get it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. What's going on, man?
Nothing, man.
Sam's here too. Sam, hello.
Yeah, I'm back in my way more comfortable spot. I love it over
You got the
here.
perch.
I hate over there. I hate over there.
Why do you hate over here?
I hate over there. I don't know how to explain it. I hate it.
This is my...
The 10 feet of difference, it just changes my whole feeling.
See, I feel the same way because I only ever sit here to do my show. So if you asked me to be in another
We want to
spot,
swap?
I'd feel thrown off.
Let's try it.
I'd feel totally thrown off. The only thing that sucks is I feel like I'm supposed to lead the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's unnatural for me to do it. You definitely are much more of a chair type.
A lot of questions in the YouTube chat about Kyper interviewing at the Leafs because it's now day 2 of him not around.
Yeah.
When we were vague about where he was, he came on looking like he was in a Wendy's.
He had a Wendy's
drive-thru.
headset on.
AGM or...
Did you see that clip from our show yesterday of him
No.
he literally had like a
Oh, yeah,
hat
I did
on
see the
in
clip
back
where-
seat
yeah.
of the car
The
with,
Britney
like,
Spears
lid.
microphone.
Would he have come on if it wasn't for one pick?
I don't know. No,
Yeah.
probably not.
Yeah, because I was
No,
going to
probably
say one pick changes
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It did.
That's a call you on vacation.
Yeah.
It changed a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
That's
So-
like when I took work off, I had a big vacation planned, and then Kawhi arrived in the helicopter, and we all thought he was returning. And I was like, well, I got to go back to work. He's in the helicopter. Like, I got to sit in there. What a fool I was.
What a fool.
God.
Well, we're pleased that you joined us today. Thank you for the
Thanks for
extra
having me.
hour of your time. And what's really great, Leafs Talk hasn't had a show in a while. No playoffs. This normally we've done shows together in May.
Missed those shows.
Those are really, I would say, almost if you had to ask me my favorite things I've done at Sportsnet, post Leafs playoff win Leaf Talk.
Boy, I said some unhinged things on there. looking back, there were some things said that you may want to mulligan on.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Those are a lot of fun.
they were a lot of fun.
Not as fun right now, but I do think it's a perfect opportunity to check in. We haven't actually talked since the Leafs hired John Chaika and Matt Sundin and got the first overall pick. I think you were like a lot of people with the Chaika stuff where initial, I don't want to say, well, no, I will say it, skepticism. He was curious. There's a lot of what is going on here. And then it happens. Since that happened, has anything changed for you about how you felt about it when you first found out? Do you feel differently now than you did when it was official, Chaika's their guy?
No, not really.
Okay.
Well, I would just say this. Like, I'm still pretty skeptical about the hire. Like, and I'm just, where I'm at with it, though, is I'm going to judge the moves that get made from this point forward. Like,
What a healthy way to look at it.
Well, it's just like, what do you do? Because I think that where we kind of get in take culture is that, like, you cement your opinion on a thing. And here's like, and this is really how I feel about it. I don't know anything about Scott White. So on paper, the idea that they were going to get somebody from the Dallas organization who was like under Jim Nill, I'm like, all right,
That sounds good.
sure. If you would have told me that they were going to bring in Brisebois, right? Like they were going to get someone who was established, or McFarland from Colorado. Yeah, clearly I think that there would have been a lot more evidence-based decision-making there, and that you could have felt more confident about that idea. But I will just say this, like, I would say in terms of the last time I felt like a major feel about something with the front office, because normally they come in and I'm kind of like, all right, let's see what you do.
Yeah.
Was Burke.
Mm-hmm.
And when Burke came in, I was like celebrating it with my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
I was in university. He comes in, he does the truculent speech, and I'm like,
You didn't
I'm
feel,
LeBron
you didn't feel
James.
about that with Lou? Because I
No.
was really excited about Lou.
I wasn't like, again, for the most part, I don't get overly excited about the unveiling of a front office because it's like, all I've ever known with this hockey team is they lose.
But just those guys did something beyond the hockey.
Yeah.
Immediately, they changed the culture.
Yes.
Immediately, it was a different.
I liked
knew they were more
liked
aggressive.
year one of Lou, and I liked the idea that they were bringing in this like massive brain trust.
Right.
That, and they came in there with a much clearer mandate than I think we've seen from anybody since, which was, we are going to try and eviscerate blue and white disease.
Yeah.
And that
Totally.
sounded so appealing after such a long time, where it really did feel like there were
Of rampant blue and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
like just oversized, I would say celebrity status for a lot of different players, a malaise that had kind of set in with the franchise, with the organization. This was the first time, which by the way, if you put yourself back there, how many years we had gone through where the Leafs were trying to be competitive, but they weren't good enough. And they couldn't figure out the salary cap.
They're finishing 9th and 10th, and they're
correct,
making runs at the end of the year to get worse draft picks.
Bingo. And that's
Marty Gerber, all our favorites that got us back up into those spots.
JS Shiger, JS Aubin, the two JSs,
all the JSs.
all the JSs that juiced the number and ended up making the Leafs pick guys like Yuri Talutsi, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were the first ones that sort of came in there and outlined at least a bit of a vision. That's the thing that I'm still, I would say, most curious about with Chayka is didn't really hear what the plan is. Like he talked about his vision and he was like, it's not anything that's rocket science. I want to have puck moving defensemen. I tried to read a lot into that. It's a team that has some, grit and strength and high-end skill and talent. And I'm like, okay, but coming in here, it's very new, right? Like they're hired right away, but they also went through a lengthy interview process. That was a month and a half? And so I would think that over a month and a half, you would be able to kind of like display a little bit more what it is exactly that got you this job. Like what it is exactly that you see with this organization as the major philosophical point that you want to drive moving forward. Because is it data? Like, okay.
I don't think he's going to tell us. Like, I think what we've already noticed, and we've talked about this offline, Bunkis, and we've talked about this too, Bourne, is that I don't think he's going to say anything.
Sure,
I think it's early. Like him and
promises.
Sundin are both going to be pretty vague early here in terms of making any, like they don't talk about playoffs. They don't talk about any of this stuff. They're just being extremely vague about everything, which is probably part of the plan where like coming in here with big promises is not what anybody, like it just doesn't work here because people are going to hold you to that. I just feel like they're being very vague.
But what's wrong with people holding you to a vision that you have?
Well, because I think there's a healthy attitude if you don't know. Like if you don't know what we can get from free agency, we don't know what we can get from other teams. So we don't want to say we're playoff bound, like we're going to turn it around next year until we kind of see.
I'm okay with that. What I'm saying is when Lou and those guys came in, it was we want to get rid of blue and white disease, and and it was Mike Babcock saying there's going to be years of pain and outlining a little bit of what a plan was. That's not really like pinning you down to too much, other than you want to rebuild a culture. Yeah. So it was very much about a culture build when those guys came in, doing things the right way, even if it required some patience. When Bert came in, his outlining was the truculence thing was my teams are going to be hard to play against. They are going to make you black and blue.
And he wanted to entertain.
Right, and he wanted to entertain. And what I'm saying is, so far here, I'm not asking these guys to outline the plan and say, here's what we're doing with Matthews at the podium when they're getting introduced. Here's what we're going to do with the draft pick. This is all of our philosophical lines of thinking. Here's every plan in detail for all of you to vet as fans. No one's owed that. What I'm saying is the vagary that you're talking about is the sense for me where I'm like, I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
and that's to Bourne's point, I think that actually might be a piece of it.
Yeah.
But for somebody who has been out of hockey for 5 years, for somebody who left in a controversial fashion, my line of thinking is I want you to kind of come to the table sort of prepared with what it is about yourself that makes you feel like one of the biggest jobs in professional sports and certainly in the National Hockey League is like the thing that you want to have define you ultimately, like the outcome.
Yeah. You know, I think looking at these guys, the one thing I really liked about the Shanahan and Lamoriello time was professionalism.
Yes.
Like the organization really took a step forward, right?
They were a punchline, and those guys came in here and like brought the pride back, changed the jersey back to the
jersey,
old.
They had the goal song, they had their stars coming.
They got rid of the pajama jerseys with no stripes at the bottom, and they brought back the old logo, and they really tried to make
leaks, and they okay, we're going to be a
God, did he ever?
We're going to.
He was the only one that did commercials. He's like, come on down to Hyundai, Lou sent you.
They're like, hey, can Matthews get a commercial? Absolutely not.
No shot.
Just Lou.
Only me.
So you knew, that they were going to do that whole professionalism thing. I think part of it is there is some genuine surprise, probably, and I'm speaking for him here, on his part, that he got the job.
And for Sundin as well, which he's
he wasn't even sure. Sundin wasn't sure he was going to do it until maybe a week before he did it. And so to come in, the comparison I would make is like coaches. I don't like when a coach tries to put their brand on a roster that can't handle their brand. I want some flexibility from a coach that says, this is what I've got, so this is how we're going to play. I kind of feel like that's Chaika's thing right now. Is yes, they're going to use data and be analytical, but I kind of feel like they're rolling with the punches. I agree. You probably at some point have to define what it is that are your strengths, but it does feel like a little period of discovery. The only scary part is you have no time for discovery.
That's it.
You know,
got
like
2
you got-
months.
He came in at a flashpoint for the franchise.
We are
Where-
3 weeks here from the draft.
And where you're the last guy you got first overall, there's reports of him like potentially not wanting to come back in the fall, and there's questions about his future here, questions who you're going to take with the first overall pick. You have 2 full draft classes. You haven't had scouting meetings yet. Like, him saying that he's jumping on a moving train could not be more accurate.
Totally.
Like, it's a real pressure cooker immediately.
By the way, we're actually like a month and a half from the draft. Ignore what I just
Yeah.
said. But yes,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
your point is good.
Yeah,
And it's
no,
like there's a lot going on to suss out. The biggest thing I was thinking is how challenging would it be right now? We have him on the other day. What are you going to do? Oh, we got to talk to Matthews. And we need to talk to the coach. And we need to talk to the scouting staff. And you don't have enough time. Like, to how are they going to make this all work here?
Well, and Matt still has to go back to Sweden, as far as I understand.
yeah.
To, like,
He
do
said
his
he's
move.
not here full time. I don't think till like almost September. I think
Right.
he's got a whole family to move out here.
So if it's as collaborative as they say it's going to be, how does that work with the time difference and working with a brand new?
But do you agree it's not going to be?
I already know, like, well, I shouldn't say I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea that the two of them will be equal partners in this venture does not seem realistic to me whatsoever. Like, I think even with Matt's title, it's kind of removing him in some regard from, hey, this is a clear defined role. Like, I don't even remember what it is.
It's
but
the
it's like,
senior vice president of vibes.
yeah,
basically.
it's
I actually I can't even remember what the title is.
I think he is very open-minded to learning on the job, and that he is a smart guy with
Totally.
a lot to offer. And
Useful to have in the organization.
and
That's an
especially
understatement.
when we're talking about how we really wanted to see the culture change under Lamoriello and under Shanahan and under Mike Babcock, and the way that they were going to define that era of hockey. I think that part of Matt's role that maybe is a little overlooked is that it's like you're trying to reestablish this brand with a fan base that has questioned it. And bringing Matts into the fold as someone who genuinely cares about the Toronto Maple Leafs and is not like passively interested in their success, but has seen it at its, I would say, most successful in the last 20 years, making it's even more than that now, my God, conference finals. and year over year successes, that it's like having a guy who knows what it's like when that building is rocking and rolling. Yeah. A guy who understands the positives of a market that is super intense. Like we can say, like everything gets picked apart, everything gets torn to pieces, everything gets microanalyzed down to the smallest level. Yeah. And having someone in here that actually has that, it's not just like, to me, a nostalgic pick. It's actually someone who I don't think takes that position unless he's confident he can learn a role that is going to be useful for the organization. Because like he can say the thing about it not being legacy altering or whatever. There's a large group of fans that did not watch Mats Sundin play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like
legacy defining.
Yeah,
it's the start of
exactly. It's defining in some ways to some people that know you as nothing else but like a statue or YouTube clips. Mm-hmm. So I trust that he has the right intentions in this. I trust that he gets like the patience to eventually figure than probably the one that he has right now. Yeah. But yeah, I'm working under the assumption that like John Chaika is the general manager of this team, and he's dictating essentially what they're going to be doing from a hockey standpoint.
Yeah, we did those interviews the first day, and Kip was asking Chaika questions. I kind of felt like I needed to get Sundin, and so I asked Sundin several questions. I don't know if you heard it at all. But every Sundin answer, are you going to be involved in the business? Will you be involved in it? Was all, yeah. You know,
totally.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Good point.
We'll see how it goes, you know. So I do think there is some.
I will say the smile.
I was just going to say,
cracked on his face, and then him just raising his eyebrows. Like that genuinely meant a ton to him, and you could tell that he cared. And just seeing the video, like, I mean, they put out their propaganda after on like the Leaf or whatever, and to see them so excited, and then to have them walk out at the Ford Performance Center where tons of guys play beer league, and they go out to the bench and they're like, "We won it," and the guys like, "We heard."
It's a great moment.
I was just like, they kind of got me. I'm back.
How could you not? How could you not be more optimistic with a first overall pick and an actual full draft class?
Totally.
I do, you know, like a guy like Darren Ravel would probably have something on this, but like the value of moments, the image of Matt's smiling with Toronto Maple Leafs in the background as they win, and the meme of like the little eye. I wonder what that is worth to the Leafs organization in terms of how it hooked people who were halfway out the door. Like, I think it's, if they gave him $5 million a year to be here, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It could be 1, could be 10. I have no idea. Whatever they gave him, I think that image is.
It might be what it might have just paid for.
I think anything he does from now is gravy.
Yeah.
Like, that image to them, I think keeps a lot of fans involved.
I love it.
All right, so we got our boy Luke Fox put out an article today about the priorities, the 6 critical steps on John Chaika's Maple Leafs to-do list. Top of the list is to nail the draft, and that's something that, this has been a fascinating sort of Rorschach test. Rorschach.
Yeah, Rorschach test.
Anyhow.
Rorschach.
But it does tell you a little bit about the person when they tell you who they would take or how they would approach this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to know, you are a white horse Yukon boy.
I wonder what his idea.
There is a white horse Yukon boy at the top of many draft boards. Is it a slam dunk for you?
So for me, I would hope that, like, and it's like, this is my philosophy on these things, because what I find interesting about these top picks, right, is you have a case for McKenna being the offensive phenom, the one with clearly the most talent in the draft. Mm-hmm. Then you have Ivar Stenberg, who is, I would say, maybe the safer pick in terms of being able to help this team, and also someone that appears to have a more rounded game. And granted, I'm less familiar with him than I am with McKenna, but I've seen, like, I watched him at the World Juniors, and we're probably going to get a look at him with the World Championship. And I trust scouts. I trust people like Jason Bukala who tell us things like this guy's game is very well-rounded, and that he could end up being an 80-point winger who can also kill penalties for you, and the appeal of somebody like that, right? I also think that it should be noted, Sundin having proximity to this guy, and also in his introductory media conferences mentioning that he's been paying attention to the international game and to prospects over these last 5 years, will probably carry a little bit of weight in this conversation about this kid, right?
Well, I don't know. Does it trump the Chaika, who's a Canadian, following a Canadian?
I'm not saying that. I don't think that it's going to trump the board that their draft room has. Mm-hmm. But as Chaika has said, this is an organizational decision.
Yeah.
This doesn't come down to one guy. You're probably leaning on your scouts a lot more when you get to the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And John Chaika and Matt Sundin don't have a clue between who they're picking here.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this number 1 pick, all of those guys, Leach, his staff, Sundin, and Chaika, are all going to be weighing in on who this pick is going to be. And ultimately, yes, I think the hammer will fall with Chaika with this pick.
Yeah.
That being said, he's the safer guy. And then you have defensemen, and some of which are transporters, something that this organization has clearly been lacking, and some of which who really would appeal to this fan base that has been starved for that type of talent. Yeah. Since when? Since Thomas Caberlet?
Yeah. I mean, most people will take it back farther than that.
Like, I know Morgan Riley scored 20 goals, and yeah, you're right. But in terms of like a Hall of Famer, they got Boreas Salming.
Yeah.
Like they don't. We had the 1 year with Brian Leach.
That's crazy.
The greatest.
Yeah.
That's
was
crazy.
That 20 games he played for the Leafs, 30 games, and it was the greatest 30. I couldn't believe how good he was.
Yeah. So I think that the tableau that's kind of painted from the Rorschach test that you're talking about is like, are you someone that's drafting for need, which is the defenseman? Mm-hmm. Are you someone that wants to play it safe? That's the Swedish kid. Or are you someone that likes to play the upside game and roll the dice and go big? And for me, I land in like taking the bias out of it, because like truly, of course.
Well, why? Why take the bias out of it?
Well, it's just I'm trying to be somewhat impartial here for what I would do with the Maple Leafs, so that it's not simply like, hey, the white horse kid wants the white horse guy. It's like, well, that's kind of, it's pretty plain, right?
Yeah.
It's tiresome also at some point. I'm not his agent. I'm not going to stump for him.
Hey, there's not many. You got to have each other's back.
No doubt. And but here's the thing. I'm not heartbroken if he gets passed on by the Maple Leafs, because if he goes to the San Jose Sharks and he plays the next 15 years of his career with Macklin Celebrini and the two of them win Stanley Cups.
He'll be a Sharks fan anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, like, again, this is one of those things where, if you look at what's best for him, and I was told, hey, him coming to Toronto and being marketed as the golden child, the chosen one, the savior of all of this in this market, with some of the holes that he does have in his game and some of the familiarity that this fan base has had with high-skilled guys who also presented some of the same issues that he did.
New Willie just dropped?
Well, or just like, New Marner, where it's like he's a perimeter player. Like, he can, like, there's some stuff with him, right? He's got to put on weight. He's got to get on nutrition and strength programs, like all those different things. To me, I just think that you don't draft the guy who you think is going to be the best for your organization tomorrow. No. You don't draft based on what is the safest. You draft on what you think is going to be the best guy in the best three in the next 3 years. Yeah. And to me, that's Gavin McKenna. When I watch him play hockey, I go, that is such a unique skill set that he has. You don't watch games and see a bunch of different guys like him. I see Stenberg, and again, don't know him as well. Not trying to profess that I do, but that feels familiar in a way of a very good hockey player. Yeah. The way that I see Gavin McKenna play in transition, the way that I see him on the power play, the way that I see him read the ice, the way that I see him stick handle at top speed, that tells me, like, you hit on this guy. You have one of the premier point getters in all of hockey, one of the most valuable players in all of hockey, an untradeable guy in all of hockey. So I can say this, it feels like a no-brainer to me, like personally, based on my philosophy on the matter. But I also understand why this is an open conversation. And I don't think that he's like Celebrini or that he's like Elliot on his podcast, like in that, the Flames tried to trade 3 first-round picks to try to get up in Nathan McKinnon. I know that this guy's not that in terms of certainty as well as skill. But to me, the skill is worth taking a risk and saying, yeah, that's the guy you want to bank on. That's the guy that can be a face of a franchise someday.
I mean, you said it's beautifully said, but don't you think the risk is more to pass on him than it is? Like, I feel like there's a higher risk factor passing on him than there is passing on Stenberg.
Totally.
Like, I feel, I mean, just again, what we talked about on your show yesterday, my fear-based drafting. But I feel like a lot of Leaf fans, if you take, and you don't want to draft the fans, blah, 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 but if you take McKenna and it doesn't work out, I think there's at least an understanding in your fan base that you drafted the consensus guy that everybody loved and was a Canadian guy at the World and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the way higher risk would be to take Stenberg one. I think, in my opinion, with the public perception.
You're not
wrong.
Do
you think?
You're not wrong. So yesterday I left the show with Books and I was like, I think I'm in on Stenberg. Like, I think you got to get the best guy. I think whatever. And then I went home last night and I put some real thought into this. I'm Team McKenna.
You have to take McKenna.
This guy had 129 points in 56 WHL games. I mean, then he goes to college last year as a freshman. He's 5th in college in points.
Yep.
Like, to me, the way I was thinking about it is, if you're rooting for the Leafs and one of these guys is on the other team coming in, who are you more afraid of? And to me, it's the guy with the crazy offensive ceiling. Yeah. Like, it's the guy who, everyone watched that clip. It's like one of the few clips I tweeted this year of him, but where he's playing for Penn State. I play college hockey. It's fast. And he slows it down to a crawl to find a trailer behind the play like he's seeing 360 degrees. I'm terrified to play that guy. So if you pass on him, it's not about passing on the Canadian kid that's scary to me, or passing on the white horse or you're passing on the skill.
Yep.
The guy who can make plays like Kucherov.
That's it. So we're all essentially in the same spot, which is, well, yeah, I almost wish I could zag on this a little bit, but it's like, I want the skill.
No interest in trading back into the D pile.
I just think that the trade back idea represents to me cowardice. Like, you're afraid to make the pick.
You don't want to make the choice. You don't want to make the decision.
And this is what I also find interesting about that McKenna picked that first overall, and the thing that we're outlining here is this feels like such a you're getting fired mispick in terms of, if you draft him first overall and he doesn't fulfill his potential and the warts end up being oversized.
It's like, too bad.
And the other guys go in this draft and it's like a deep top where you could end up having 2 awesome defensemen and Stenberg be like, again, the 80-point guy who is like a down ballot Selke nominee as a winger.
Yeah.
That people will look at that and be like, oh my God, you're fired. You blew this pick. Look how bad it is because the guys behind you were so close. And then conversely, to your point about it being risky to pass on him, it's the same thing where it's like, but if you let that play into your mind and you pass on him and he goes to another organization and he does become Nikita Kucherov 2.0, it doesn't matter if
you're never working again.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter if you nailed the pick in terms of the guy was really good. If he's not the best player at one, you're like, you blew it.
The one reason
I mean, that's why sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say the second and first pick, everybody's always debated if it's better just to have the second pick.
Right.
To let the first pace.
Yeah, take the pressure off.
Unless it's a no-brainer. When it's like there's a 1A, 1B at the top, people are always like, oh, maybe this. I don't like that the first. It's nice to have the asset, but there's that conversation. Anyway.
But so I do sort of feel about the Chaika hire like I feel about the McKenna pick, which is, if Keith Pelly believes that John Chaika was the best guy for the draft or for the team, he has to pick him. regardless of the backlash, because if he's wrong, it's trouble for him anyway. If you're wrong with this pick, no matter who you pick, it's trouble. It doesn't matter. You have to get it right. So you have to just go with what you believe. And if you are like us and you believe that this McKenna is the highest ceiling guy, you got to pick him. If you're wrong, you're toast anyway.
I agree with that.
So go ahead and make your pick.
Take the super skilled guy. The thing is to me, part of the reason why this market's even really having this conversation, like outside of it, it's not unanimous. Like again, Books went on both of our shows yesterday, did the rounds, and he's making the Stenberg case. Some people are going to be like Chase Reed, and some people are going to be like, "Oh, the Carroll's kid is that."
By the way, and Carroll's.
When we do these, when we do this analysis, it always makes it sound like you're taking away from the other guys rather than just trying to define the pick that you like the most. And again, I don't know enough about the other guys in detail to say these are the things that I really don't like about this guy's game or whatever. And I'm not going to do that. But we get trapped in kind of that part of it where it's like, well, you don't want this guy because that it's like, no. I'm just purely basing this off of we've had 2 years where this guy has been a near consensus pick.
Yes.
And what will happen in this market more than I think would happen if it was Vancouver, for example.
It would get talked around. Like people convince themselves of other people just because we will talk about everything every day.
Not just that, though, just had a formula built around 3 forwards that were top-end picks with a ton of offensive talent who are missing some of the other pieces of their game, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And well, it hasn't up until this point. And so if like one of the direct comparables for this kid is, well, he replaces Mitch Marner, some people look at that and go, well, where did that get you anyways? Right. Didn't we just say, like, let Mitch Marner go?
Look how bad it is when you don't have it.
Right. And so I think that part of the reason that the zag is happening within the market, why, like, dude, I don't think I've ever gotten more messages than the last 2 days from Leaf fans saying, well, wouldn't you trade down or wouldn't you take the D or wouldn't you
trade the second pick for Matthews to San Jose?
That a lot of it is because of the lens people have where it is filtered through the experience they just went through with Nylander, Matthews, and Marner. And they kind of, some people are viewing him either subconsciously or consciously as an extension of those guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I use this example all the time and people are sick of it. But if my house is 18 degrees, my wife will turn it up to 27 to warm it up. It doesn't need to be 27 degrees. It doesn't need to be the opposite of what it was before.
It's called Jiffy. They'll fix that.
It needs to be 21. I will. That's what I hate about Jiffy. Who, thank you, by the way. Love Jiffy.
I love Jiffy.
The other piece of this that I think is worth mentioning is this kid was the, what do you call it, the exceptional player.
Yep.
He has had attention for being the star for how many years? Since he was 14?
Yep.
And he's going to come here at 18, turning 19. I mean, he is better equipped to handle what's going to be thrown at him here than just about anyone in the draft. You know, I don't know about Stenberg and what he's gone through for attention, but this kid has been a superstar at Penn State. Is he a Hobie Baker finalist this past year? You know, like, he's been in the spotlight.
My watching of college hockey has been Gavin McKenna highlights.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He not only has shown that now for years, being the spotlight player with all of the attention and thrived in that, he's also now gone through adversity.
Mm-hmm.
When he showed up to college hockey, what happened? He did not put, and some people started to go, he's the number 1 pick. And if you look at it, I think it's 51 points in 35 games in U.S. college hockey.
Yeah, that's just under my career total, I think.
Yeah, so he gets that in 35 games. You should also look at how many of those points came during the second half of the year and the leap that he took as a player. He also dealt with a controversy when he hit that kid in the bar, which was immediately people going, does he have a temperament? Oh, no, because again, the initial reaction to that was, this kid's a loose cannon. He might get arrested. He might have a criminal record. What's this going to do for his status in terms of being able to cross a border? Like, it got so out of control immediately. And you know why that happens? Because you're the first overall pick. Yeah. You're the guy that everyone is looking at and saying, wait, this was the guy that we watched Team Canada for. And by the way, his Team Canada experience was viewed as somewhat of a failure, even though he had the second most points in the tournament.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the level of skill he has, is that it's like,
going through all that.
You do all this, you have all that, and people still kind of nitpick it because in our country and people who follow hockey, they look at it as, but are you Macklin Celebrini? Are you Sidney Crosby? Are you Nathan McKinnon? Are you Connor McDavid? And it's like, yeah, not every single guy is that, but you can still be a pretty consensus number one pick. And that's the way that I view it.
The hardest thing to do in the game is to get the puck in the net. And this guy does it as an exceptional level. And I do need to add that in Canada, what he went through with the bar thing, if you ask people to put it in a pro or con column now, I don't talk to any friend of mine who's not like, take the kid who defended his mom at the bar with us.
But that should actually also be noted in terms of like his personality makeup, is that by every measure and every account, when we talk about him being a perimeter player, that's not like that's the only place that he'll ever be, that he's afraid of going to the middle of the ice.
But also that he has the ability to get upset is nice
that's
to
what
hear.
I mean.
Like, not
got
once
fire
did
in
you
his
see
belly.
Marner throw a punch at someone. Not once,
No.
It's never happened. The fact that he can get there is incredible.
All right.
Yeah.
Good talk, boys. McKenna.
That was 0.1 of 6.
McKenna.
To get
McKenna.
to. McKenna it is.
McKenna.
All right.
stay
We're going to
right.
get into more of Luke Fox's article after this. We'll talk about the coach after the break. Welcome back to Real Kyper and Bourne. We are in the middle of a hot debate right now. So the conversation was, hey, wait, why does McKenna wear 72? A quick Google search reveals.
I don't even know what I want you to tell
it's
people.
It's an inverse. So he was born in
listening.
2007, so somehow that's related to 27. And also because he wears an homage to his favorite childhood player, Jonathan Drouin.
I need to hear this. I need to hear that from him.
Jonathan Drouin.
I got to hear it from his lips. That's why. Because
I'm just praying you went to like the Boomer Facebook page.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
AI.
yeah,
and like,
it's you got to
That's gonna be
understand. Like,
saves.
what are you doing, Claude over here? Like ChatGPT. Like it's
This is currently in the Toronto Sun as a fun fact from our guy. I believe it's Hornby.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
Hornby.
Sure about that? Hornby knows.
I gotta tell you,
Actually,
Good
that was written
source.
yesterday, this article.
Crap.
this is Jonathan Drouin that's concerning. I gotta say that out of all the things that have actually scared me about him being the pick,
Not the bar fight,
Nope.
the Drouin thing.
nothing. The bar fight, I told you, I'm firmly in the camp that you discussed, which is I haven't talked to one person who views that as a negative. It's obviously a clear positive. And then to go out there right afterwards when he returns, score
Like
goals
in
and
the
be
8-point weekend or something.
and do the Conor McGregor strut in front of everybody. Like, if you don't think that's
Yeah.
flair, if you don't
If he-
think that's guts, like, yeah, come on.
He can handle the market.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Yeah, but Joanne.
Yeah, the Drouin thing's tough. Yeah, let's not talk about that again. I'm
Berube?
kind of upset that you guys did this to me. Like, now, when I said I'm not his agent, like, I actually kind of felt like his agent in that moment because I was like,
Well,
hey.
actually,
please don't bring that up.
so I wrote an article yesterday, which
Yeah, it was
was
good.
just what does this change for the Leafs? One of the things I thought maybe it changes. Kip doesn't think that Berube's in any trouble. He thinks that they're going to go into the year and see what
Feels that way.
they get with him. To me, it's like, you're giving up an unprotected pick next year. You know that winning is the goal. There's no hesitation on that. There's no incentive to not do anything but win. So if you genuinely believe that you can do better with a different coach, does this change the timeline for making that change?
100%. They should just be doing that regardless.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand the Berube stuff at all because this was a team that was trying desperately to win all year long. That's why people are calling it the ethical tank,
Right.
is that they were not trying to lose.
Bettman brought it up on
one word for
McAfee.
it.
He brought it up on McAfee show yesterday. He's like, see, they didn't flat out try to lose, and look what happened.
But that's
Yeah.
it, is like, so part of me believes it because Berube seems to be like almost like a trusted advisor in all of this. That like he feels
Initially with Pelly and Tree Living,
Yeah.
these guys had a lot
like
of power.
it was like this guy is a part of that infrastructure. And I think that there's also a temptation not to just simply say like all of the issues that befell us were on the coach and ignore some of the other problems.
Right.
And I've always been of that position as well, where it's like, I think it is more layered than just Brue's a bad coach and he didn't get enough out of this talent. It's like, nah, they're an old roster and they didn't play very well. And I don't know who goes in there if they hire the Denver guy. What's his name? Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah, David Carl.
Yeah, that if they hire him, that they're 20 points better. Like they made the playoffs and we're talking about them dramatically
I think
differently.
it was a bad combination of a bad roster,
Yeah.
maybe some bad deployment and bad coaching. I think it was just a bad.
But
And
that-
also once
thing.
it starts to fall apart,
It was just over.
But the thing for me is like why I kind of don't believe it is one, when Chaika was talking and he's like, again, to the vision point, the one thing that did stand out to me is like he wants to be a team that can move it from the back end. It's like, okay, so is that what you think that this guy is?
Not off the glass and out.
Yeah, like do you think
Good
that?
point.
Yeah, do you
Good
think
point.
that that's
that
going
does not
to
mesh with the vision.
Exactly. And so that's a roster construction element as well. But also, it's like stylistically, that was not really the way they were. They were not a possession team. If Chaika is a data analytics guy, which all evidence points to being that is the case, then you're probably going to be far more interested in puck possession, which doesn't lead to the Berube element. So it's like, kind of feels like it's a bit of a contrast. But then secondarily, it's always hard to say this when you're not in the room or you're not fully connected to it. But did those guys look like they were loving life with Berube? Like he's someone who used up some bullets at the end of the year. Like he started
fired
to
some
get into
shots on
them,
the
and
way out.
there was still lackadaisical efforts. Like they had. Let's not forget the Matthews moment and this team not responding in it, and then Berube kind of chewing on the having that. Like, it just sometimes you can just see it. Okay, like you don't have to be in it. You can just see it. That does not look like a team that was like fully invested in the way that their coach wanted them to play.
From Chaika's perspective, though, and I think this is a point that Kipper's alluded to, it's definitely attractive to have, like, not right away have it be your guy behind the bench.
Someone who can
I
eat the
hate
bullets.
that,
Like
though.
I
Yeah,
do,
same.
I absolutely hate it too.
Yeah.
But
And that makes no sense with when he was on your show. He said something along the lines of, every season with this organization is precious.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
so you can't say that
and then do that.
bring
I
back
get
Craig
that.
Berube.
I get that. But I do. But that's the thing that a lot of general managers do across sports when they inherit a team. Sometimes they let the guys start. We saw it here with Dubas and Babcock when he had him at the start of that year. When Sauer fired him, brought in Keefe. Like, it is something that general managers do. And I'm really like, I really do think that they'd be 10, 15 points better with a different coach next year. I actually do think it would help. So I hope they do it, but I kind of am starting to think that they're not going to.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see how it goes in these meetings, right? Like, it's going to come down to two things. If Matthews and Nylander say we can work with them, they'll work with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say we can't, they won't. Like,
Okay. But let me
hate
just
that
ask
too.
you, like,
I hate that too.
But here's the thing. You've watched every game last year.
Yeah.
You were a video coach.
Yeah.
Like, you're the most qualified guy in this room by like a wide margin to understand systems. You literally did something called systems analyst. That's your job.
Yes.
So when you looked at this, like, what do you think of that system? What is your analysis of the way that he coaches and the ceiling, the upgrade? Because to me, it's like, I don't care about the narrative stuff. I don't care about the bullets. I don't care about the idea that it's like, even the players say we can work with them. I want John Chaika to be sitting down there as a new visionary for this hockey club, his advisors to sit there with their systems analysts and evaluate Craig Berube on just the work.
Well, here's what I'll say is that I don't think not many guys around the league are doing it all that differently.
Sure.
They're not asking their teams to play all that differently. So what we judge the coach on is buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
Are the guys executing it the way you want it to look? And they're not. And now for me, you have to separate that into one of two questions. Are the guys not bought in, which is the coach's job, or do you just have terrible defensive forwards, which is the GM's job? And I think it's both.
Yeah.
Like, I think you got too much Domi, too much Michelli. He's okay at it. Too much Robertson,
yep.
too much. Go through the lineup. They're weak defensive forwards.
They
Name
don't
everyone
give you
up.
enough offensively.
Everyone
right.
other than Matthews, basically.
Totally. Up and down the lineup. You had weak defensive forwards. So that doesn't help. But at the same time, guys are straying all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are, saying Willie can lead the zone early for, the odd breakaway is not a crisis on its own. But when you start giving different guys different leashes and allowances, I think you lose guys thinking, well, I'm pretty good offensively, and if you let me have a longer one, maybe I'll just take my chance. And it was not a pretty year from that perspective. And if Berube were here, he would tell you that. Be like, we need to be better at that stuff. It was really ugly last year. So
It just, this big flashy new front office with Sundin a part of it, this, controversial sort of new mind in Chaika, and you're just going to go into the next season with Berube behind the bench. It feels like it needs to be something
Berube
different.
behind the bench, and then also the idea that some people would have, which is that they went to Matthews and Nylander, is you just put it and ask them for their permission to keep that. It's like, that sure feels just like the Shanna plan to me.
right. And then also, if it is Gavin McKenna in here, is Craig Berube the first coach you want for him? But I think it's very important that we use up our remaining time with you on the Matthews stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And CJ had the report, and there were other stuff around there about he's not 100% sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, Leafs fans are not happy about the report because they don't feel like it's fairly framed. Matthews has yet to say anything to this effect. We don't know why it suddenly seems to be this way. Kip
But
feels...
didn't Elliott say something along the lines of the first overall pick is not the factor in Matthews' decision making?
I don't know.
Yeah, he alluded to that on 32 Thoughts, and I got a full say. Like, I know CJ, I trust CJ.
Totally.
He's a credible guy. Him putting it,
He
he's not going
didn't
to
pull it out of nowhere.
No,
And he's
correct.
not just someone who's doing stuff for the clicks.
Correct.
No, 100%.
Correct.
So, but to that point, Kip feels like, hey, this guy we shouldn't be asking him to stay and show him. He should be telling us why he deserves to stay and be a part of it. To me, I'm like, you just got to go into this year with McKenna and Matthews and go from there. I don't think that he's talking about leaving. You get McKenna, you make some other changes. I don't see any reason to think he wouldn't be here. Where do you sit on all the Matthews stuff?
I think I've been pretty consistent with this all along. I don't like the idea that you're going to him and trying to satiate him in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I think doing the same thing again.
No. But I shouldn't say satiate him in terms of letting him call the shots. They should be trying to win and build a sustainable winner. And to me, they should be trying to outline a plan where they're saying, we might not have it next year. Like, that's pretty clear based on the results from a season ago and the roster issues that we have. We're going to be taking a step back in some regards. Like, if someone calls us and gives us the right offer for one of our older defensemen, a Carlo, an OEL, a McCabe, we're doing that trade if we think that it benefits our flexibility moving forward and our ability to acquire better talent. We are not just simply going to go into free agency and sign Radish because he's the best name that everybody sees out there. If he fits the long-term vision of the win and they feel like that's in the window, great. But the idea that they're just going to load up on veteran players or move some of these assets in to be getting older guys that fit this timeline of 2 years is nutso behavior to me.
Yeah.
I think the responsibility they have is to outline to him, hey, man, here's how we're going to get back to being a winner. We're looking around the league right now, and there's a feel of changing of the guard. I feel it when I'm watching the Anaheim Ducks win games. I'm feeling it when I'm seeing the Montreal Canadiens go past the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm feeling it watching the Oilers all of a sudden look completely old. Tampa feeling like they're in a crisis of confidence. Like, this league is moving fast, and it's getting younger and faster and more talented. And the idea that you're going to double down, triple down, quadruple down, whatever the hell it is, on a bunch of older guys is nutso behavior to me. I got no problem with them going to him with a plan to try to figure out where he's at. But it shouldn't be, hey, what's your input on what we should be doing here? And I think that people are actually kind of misunderstanding the situation to be more of that when I think it is more of what I'm saying, which is them showing him a plan and saying, we obviously want to win with you.
It might not be this year, but
Exactly.
there's a plan for us to win here.
We don't
while
think your career's over in 2 years.
Well, see, this is the thing that I'm uptight about.
Yeah.
He's 29 today.
That's it.
He'll be 30 when the year starts.
Yep.
You know, superstar athletes in the NHL don't just drop to nothing. He's got 5 good years left.
This is where I'm worried.
Well, and that's fine if you believe that some of this, I don't think the Pettersson thing is coming for Matthews.
I just think it's availability.
Yeah,
I
think
production could be there,
it's
but
a
I just
fine concern.
But you still got to roll that dice.
45 to 60 games a year.
Ultimately, you're not replacing a player of Matthews,
Correct.
his caliber,
Yep.
and with his no move clause, you're not going to be winning these trades. Okay, so if he decides that he wants out, he's going to be picking a couple of destinations, and you're going to get really hurt in that trade. So to me,
Just gotta hope.
the best plan for me has always been, in this case, to try and get Matthews involved in what the plan is for the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 seasons, and saying, we want you to be the captain of this organization for life. We want you to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. We think with this kid, he's not going to be the best version of himself next year, but 2 years, 3 years from now, you could be looking at his wing or at him as your winger
He
going,
could be a 100-point guy.
yeah, he's a 100-point guy. He might even be better than Mitch Marner. Hey, we've got this draft pick class coming in. If we hit on these guys, if we draft and develop properly, then we can make some more creative moves. Hey, guess what? No one's talking about. The salary cap is going through the freaking roof.
Totally.
Year over year. You know where we're going to have more an advantage? 2 years from now when the cap's at $120 million and all of a sudden teams around the league, like the Anaheim Ducks, are looking at it and going, we don't know. We're not exactly positive that we want to be pushing up to the cap.
Columbus
love
is going
that
to spend
point.
$120 million on their team. It's like
A
there's
lot
these
of people
teams.
are like, oh, these players are cost controlled or they're young or whatever. And it's like, not every team's going to be a salary cap team.
Correct.
The Leafs will be.
Sonny Mehta got introduced by the New Jersey Devils, and one of the beat reporters asked him during that media conference, are you going to be spending up to the cap every single year? And Mehta turned and looked at his owner and said, yeah, I'm actually curious about this answer as well. Like, that is not the reality for every team. The Maple Leafs, when John Chayka talks about resources, I'm not just viewing that as spending it on scouts. I'm viewing it as moving forward. We're no longer in the era of the flat cap.
God, the timing was bad for the Core Four.
It was very bad.
And so there is technically a way. Am I skeptical of it? Am I saying that it's 100% going to work? No. Am I like...
But it's an advantage, and you can't say it's not.
Do I think
even if you worry they'll mess it up, it's an advantage.
And do I think that there's question marks about Matthews and getting a win with him and all the health stuff in the age? Like, duh.
Yeah.
But to me, the idea of trading him just because you're like, well, we got to get off this timeline and completely go young, they don't really seem like they're wanting to do that. And part of the reason is it's nonsensical. If he had no move clauses, and they actually could shop and explore him, I think they probably wouldn't be going publicly like, we got to sell this team to Matthews and the vision of Matthews. But they know as well as anybody with a brain that it's like probably the best way.
5 teams that you're going to be able to trade him to, and you're not going to get anything.
And what are you getting back?
Yeah.
And if he's even an point per game guy, he scores 85 points next year, he's one of the better defensive centers in the NHL. He's remarkably valuable.
Exactly. You're not giving him the car keys in terms of determining the pathway of the organization. All you are doing is trying to sell him on a vision of when this team can get back to being a Stanley Cup contender, because the idea and the notion of them winning next year to me is nonsensical. It's asinine. and it's based on nothing.
Well, hold on. Do you mean the cup?
Yeah, I think, sure, when we do this conversation, it's like, look at the retool that everyone just went crazy.
Don't use Boston because they stink.
But that's what I'm saying. Boston and Pittsburgh, it was like the retool. They got into the postseason, and it's like one team lost the Flyers, the other got embarrassed by the Sabres.
But at least you're not giving the first overall pick to the Flyers. You're giving the 20th first overall pick to the Flyers.
Right.
But
But
my point there is just simply like these teams that we gave all the flowers to for the rebuild and getting back to the postseason. It's like, it's the Thanos line. Like, where did it get you? It brought you back here to me, which is in the offseason with the Maple Leafs, trying to figure out ways to actually become a Stanley Cup contender anyways. I don't really see the value. Like, I'm sure people would argue against the monetary reasons of getting playoff money, but in terms of like your long-term vision, this fan base has seen playoffs. They've seen first rounds. We just went through a cycle where we said being in the first round is no longer good enough. Getting to the second round is no longer good enough. So why is it that 1 year of the postseason, all of a sudden the reframing would be
because
like
of this year? Because the way this year went.
That was a pretty good meal we were eating.
Honestly, yeah. I think getting back to the playoffs next year and
win cups. Build a winner.
Totally.
Do not do something that is unsustainable where all of a sudden 2 years from now you're back here going like, oh boy, we actually made it so much worse. Sell Matthews on sustainability. Sell Matthews on a younger team, a faster team, one with a vision, one with better players around him, one that's going to be selling or buying as many pieces as they possibly can using the financial resources that they have as an organization, promising every year is going to be 120, whatever the salary cap is, that will be what Brandon Pridham is figuring out how to make sure that they get right there on the dollar, I guess, if he's still here. But you get my point here. Yeah. There's a way to sell him on this that does not just include we're going to do a bunch of dumb stuff to try to get back to the playoffs next year. And I think that we've kind of framed it that way, and it's not the reality.
You know what else I think is happening that, happens in other sports a lot more is in the NBA, those guys orchestrate things behind the scenes as players. Like more than any other league, right? Like their buddies go on a fishing trip and they're like, all right, we're going to end up in the same place, whatever. I do think that Matthews has friends around the league.
Yeah.
He
just played on USA's Olympic team.
I do think that McKenna helps you sell Matthews and whoever he's talking to that this is the place to do it.
I think so too.
Hear the sound.
What I would say too is like Matthews having questions about the future is a good thing. You don't want someone who's just complacent and is like, sure, I'll be here for forever. It's like you want a guy who's driven to win. Yeah. That's what the goal is.
Bunk, thank you so much for joining us. Always delightful. We could do a 10-hour show, and we will see you in the 5 o'clock hour with Sammy Cause. Welcome into Real Kyper and Bourne, the National Hour. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, and streaming always on Sportsnet Plus. If you miss our show live, you can always get it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365, and sitting beside me yet again today is my man, Sammy McKee.
Hello.
Sammy, what's going on, man?
Nothing, bud. I was just looking at my lineup that I typed, marginal as always. But I put in here, and we're going to talk about the Habs. But I forgot about this. I put this in here. Dahlin, Makar, and Werenski named the 3 finalists for the Norris Trophy.
Right. Do you have any...
I mean, Evan Bouchard is a Norris finalist. I'm sorry.
Which guy are you taking out there?
I'm taking Dahlin out.
No.
I am.
Yeah.
We all it's not a points thing or whatever, but like Carlson won it because he had 120 points. What did Bouchard have this year? 95 points, almost 100 points. Like
so many. I'm trying to pull up my
I know
ballot.
Dahlin's amazing. Dahlin's fantastic. But like they always reward guys that have high point totals. And just because what's the reason Bouchard isn't a finalist? Because he had a couple gaffes to start the year on the East Coast trip. I can't believe he's not a finalist.
Yeah.
He's an elite defenseman. He had
sure.
95 points. He almost had 100 points.
Yeah.
He's not even in a finalist?
Do you have the D scoring in front of you? What was
No.
Dahlin at the end of the day? I think a lot of people view it, they're making an effort to say this is not a...
But it always has been.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it right, does it?
Well, I mean, when there's just been something that you've done for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw that. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to, to pander to my Edmontonian people, but I just can't believe that he's not a finalist.
I think it's a very valid concern.
Evan Bouchard
question.
had 95. He had 21 goals and 74 assists. He was a plus 25 on the season. Rasmus Dahlin had 74 points. Fantastic season.
Yeah.
But like he was 20 points behind him.
Yeah.
And I know Edmonton. I understand it's a hard argument to make now that the Sabres are past. Like they're playing now. And I know it's a regular season thing. I understand that this maybe comes off wrong now, but Evan Bouchard was unbelievable all season long and was one of the big reasons they won any games that they did. I'm stunned by it.
I was kind of pulling my hair out over the Celebrini stuff because people were like, he won the Hart Trophy. He's 19 years old, which, by the way, is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The Hart Trophy. And they're going, yeah, but he's on the Sharks and whatever. He was 25 points behind McDavid. He'd need to have a great half a season for most guys to get there.
And listen, I love Zach Werenski. I think he's deserving. I think Cale Makar's deserving. I think you could make a conversation, obviously, for Quinn Hughes. But the leading scoring defenseman in the league not being nominated for the Norris is insane to me.
Yeah.
It's always like we've had the conversation. How many times where you say, why don't you have the award for the best defensive defenseman? Because all it is for the Norris is the highest scoring guy every year. And a guy has 95 points. He's 14 points ahead of Zach Werenski.
Yeah.
He plays all 82 games.
And it's
not nominated.
It's funny how reputation...
It's
just
a reputation thing.
Tough to overcome. People think that he's this like giant defensive liability or something, which is just not the case.
But like, I forget who it had. I think it was Brownie that we had on that he talked about the first, or no, who it was. It was Losey that we had on. And he had that start at the start of the year. We had the East Coast road trip. We had that brutal turnover against I think your Islanders. Yeah. I'm stunned by it. I'm stunned by it.
Yeah, that's a shocker.
Did you vote? Did you vote?
I can tell you, I'm not allowed to tell you. Okay. He is high on my Norris ballot.
Yes, as he should be.
All right. We are now. We get someone else to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
We got Sportsnet's NHL analyst Sam Cosentino. Cosy, what's up?
Hey, bud.
Hey guys, how you doing over there?
Good,
doing really well.
Did you have Evan Bouchard on your? Did you have a ballot? Did you vote?
No, I don't make the cut for that.
You don't
That's
make,
all you, Bourne.
You don't make the cut. You'd have had Bouchard, I'm sure, near the top of the list.
He'd be one of the 3.
Yeah.
How's he not one of the 3? Like, you can make the argument to me that he doesn't deserve to win, sure, whatever. But being 14 points ahead of the next closest defenseman leading the league and not be nominated for the Norris, it's always a points thing, Sammy. Always.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, look at when Carlson, he was allergic to his goalie when he won it.
Yeah, 100%. He was never in the defensive
He hit the 100 mark, though, and everyone went 100. Hey,
that's right.
The people that I read talking about the draft are telling me that Chase Reed is Bouchard. Like, how do you feel about that sort of comparison for a guy on the come up?
So it's really interesting when it comes to Bouchard because all we ever see are his defensive mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And then, all right, well, sure, he's got 95 points, plays in the power play with McDavid and Draisaitl. But if you ask those guys, I think they would tell you that he's a huge part of what they're able to do
Absolutely.
on the power play. So I think there are times when he does something well defensively, no one ever sits there and says, look at these 3 plays he made in this game. Okay. But I would say Chase Reed has that offensive acumen that Bouchard does. He's got a big booming shot. He skates like the wind. I'd say he's just, I don't know how to say it. I guess plays with a bit more energy than what you say with Bouchard.
Okay.
Bouchard is like, I think he's very calculated. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Sometimes to his detriment a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right. Because it looks like, and he did this in London too. And I talked to the Hunters numerous times about this. But they're like, no, guys, he's just really smart. He knows when he can go. He knows when not. And we're playing him 30 minutes a night. So every now and then he's got to kind of shut it down and know when to conserve. So when it comes to Chase Reed, like I love this guy, what he brings to the table. Defensively, though, I don't think you're going to see those glaring mistakes. Maybe because he produces so much offense. So you're looking for a hole in his game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the offense is definitely something that's there. He's going to be a power play 1 quarterback in the National Hockey League. I'm convinced of that.
So we've been obviously talking a lot about the draft here because the Leafs won. So that's what we've been doing. Don't know if you heard or not, Sammy, but we've been doing a lot on it. So
what? Yeah, I know. Crazy.
So how many players do you think could go 1 in this draft? Is it just the 2 guys? Like, is there any way that they read?
There's 4 guys.
There's 4,
in my
you think?
opinion, there's 4 guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we break down Stenberg, you hear Books talk about him all the
Loves
time.
him.
I love this guy. I think he's the best player. But I don't think there's a general manager in the National Hockey League that has the stones to sit there and not take McKenna.
Yeah.
That's how I truly feel about it. So you have the 2 wingers.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at premium position-wise, okay, Malhotra, the guy's unbelievable. What a year he just had. 26 points in the playoffs, 15 games, 13 goals. Plays both sides of the puck, plays in every single situation. He's going to wear a letter. He's going to play 20 pounds heavier than he is. Unbelievable. And Chase Reed, we talked about these right shot defensemen. Like they're part of the furniture when they go to an organization. Drew Doughty.
Yeah.
He's been there 108 years. John Carlson was in Washington for 103 years.
Yeah.
Cale McCarr is going to be in Colorado until they put a toe tag on him. Like these guys are foundational pieces that stay with their organizations for a long time because they're ridiculously hard to acquire and trade, and they are ridiculously expensive if you have to go and get them in the free agent market. So Verhoff is very similar to that. I think Reed is just more of a dynamic player than what Verhoff is, but you'd be happy getting him as well. To get back to the question, I think there's 4 guys who could go number 1 here.
So that pocket of D, and we're going to get more into the Leafs and specifics at the top, but there's a group of D there with Reed, Verhoff, Carls, how am I saying that?
Carls.
Carls.
Yep.
And then is there another one as well in that pocket? Either there's some very good D. How do you rank the 3 or 4 of them?
There's 2 other guys.
Okay, 5
There's
of them.
Daxon Rudolph.
Okay.
He had a monster year with Prince Albert, and you're going to get to see him play in the Dub final here.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a guy by the name of Albert Smits who was getting a lot of love, but I haven't heard a lot about him lately.
Yeah.
But this guy at 18 played in the Olympics for Latvia. You're going to see him play at the Worlds. He was at the World Juniors. It's crazy the international year he's had because you go back to last April, he played at the World Under-18s. Then he goes to play at the World Juniors. Then he plays in the Olympics, and here in May, he's going to play in the Men's Worlds. And by the way, he played in Finland, both the Under-20 League and in Liga, and then he went and played at the end of the year in the DEL, Germany's first league. So this guy here is like, he's a beefy guy. He's got a ton of confidence. The offensive upside, I'm not entirely sold on, but in terms of getting that steady guy that's going to play top 4 for sure for you and probably complement a guy like Reed, this is the guy, and I believe he should be in that conversation.
So we're on in 650, Sammy, and clearly it was a lot of they were not pleased that the Leafs jumped up there and stole that pick. And I know you don't, probably neither of you believe me, but I did feel bad. I did feel bad a little bit about it. But they're clearly, the way you're talking here, there's still going to be a fantastic player available for them at 3. Because if you're saying that there's guys there, 4 guys that could potentially go number 1 overall, if you're picking 3, you're still in a fantastic spot. I guess it's just more the optics of losing 1, having such a horrible year. But if you're the Vancouver Canucks, who needs everything, what are you looking at 3? Who's your guy?
So I was just on 650, I think. So I think this is sort of like
Perfect.
a carryover. So they're going to be sick of me.
No.
But I'm saying if you're the Vancouver Canucks, I would be ecstatic to be sitting in the 3 hole. Absolutely ecstatic. Okay. And I actually had one team reach out to me, one non-playoff team reach out to me, and I just threw it out there, like, where would you like to pick? And they're like, oh, we'd love to be picking 3.
Yeah.
So the idea is 2 teams are going to help make up your mind for you. So if we believe it's going to go chalk, top-ranked winger McKenna, top-ranked winger in Stenberg, now you're going to get the top-ranked player at a premium position in either Reed or Malhotra at 3. And if Malhotra is there, you're saying, all right, this is Steve Nash's nephew, a Vancouver guy. Oh, yeah, his dad, Manny, coaches in Abbotsford and may end up being the next coach there. Who knows? And you're getting a 2-way guy who's got NHL bloodlines. Like, you'd be super pumped to be sitting there if Malhotra was there. And whatever GM it is, you know, he's going to need labrum surgery with how quickly he'll pick up the phone to get that player. So I think the same thing about Reed. You're going to get a premium player at a premium position. So they're in a perfect spot. And let's say, oh, we're going to pass on Stenberg. Well, Stenberg is going to walk into a situation with 5 or 6 Swedes on the roster already. And how comfortable are you going to feel walking into that situation to be able to maximize what this guy's going to bring to the table to you? You got the 19 Petterssons that they got going on there. You got Höglander, you got Wilander. Like, so it would be a very good position for him to roll into there if for whatever reason San Jose or Toronto didn't take Stenberg. So they're sitting in the they got the catbird seat, if you ask me.
That's interesting.
So, Sammy, you got the Leafs taking McKenna, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to be at the draft combine next month, I believe, right? And you'll meet a lot of these kids. You know, what are these conversations like? What are you trying to find out about them? How does this go?
Okay. I'm glad you asked this, Bourne. So here's how it goes. Books and I are in there. Ailish will be in there as well. So
Sammy, I'm coming too, buddy. I'm coming.
He's going
Let's
too.
Go. Bring
in.
everybody. Let's go. Sammy, come on down.
I'm actually asking because I'm curious. What do I need to know?
My only question to Gavin will be like, do you like blue and white? Because you're going to be wearing it for 15 years, brother. You're hired.
He's already got it on with Penn State.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a little darker.
So, I'm going to tell you how it works. Books prepares a lot of the hockey stuff. So he'll literally have his laptop there and he'll have some clips and he'll be like, hey, dude, take a look at this clip. What are you thinking here? Or he'll have a hockey question because he knows people all over the world. And he'll be like, yeah, I talked to Joe Blow in Finland, and here's some of the things that I had heard about you. What can you say about this? Or I saw you in a situation at the under 18s where you ducked down the runway and 2 seconds later you ran back. And so Books has sort of like the hockey side sorted out. For me, it starts for me the second they walk into the room. How are they dressed? What's their hair like? What kind of clothes are they wearing? Do they shake your hand or do they give you a dead fish? Are they engaged with eye contact? Are they engaged with all the people in the room? Are they sitting there saying, oh, I'm here because I have to be, or genuinely excited to be there? And then you sit them down and you ask them questions. Well, I heard in this situation, I didn't like how you responded to something, or, you know, who do you hang out with? What do your parents do? What any more athletic bloodlines in the family? And so you do some of that research going in, but you want to hear from the kid. Like, is there any discord? What's the biggest adversity you've ever faced? How did you overcome that adversity? Or based on the reaction and the answer, oh, I don't want to talk about that, right, or I prefer to keep that personal. So for me, I try and gauge all these things about the character and the personality of the player. And I feel that's such a huge, important piece. Like, let's say you're going to go and draft it gets to the spot and you're going to draft a power forward. And one of the kids in this draft, 6'7", 6'5", whatever, there's a bunch of big kids, and they walk in there and they dead fish you on a handshake. Like, can you play a power forward position if you walk in and you dead fish me? I just don't. I don't see how that
I love
works,
that.
you know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I was going to ask you what the connection between eye contact and being a good player is, but I do see the point about someone who is mature and aware of their situation and trying to represent themselves well. Probably translates to something.
Totally.
It doesn't mean that they're going to be a good player, Borny, but like part of what that is okay. So if you're walking with your shoulders slumped and your head down, and I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you're just meeting with like 10, 12 scouts in a room and a GM, like how are you going to respond when 18,000 people and 3 million people are turning on the fan and watching your shows all the time? How is that guy going to respond? Just based on bad body language walking into a room with 15 people. So, you know, I do think there are important elements to that. And I think based on how you handle whatever it is that controversy's been in your life, how are you going to handle when fans are booing you, or when stuff's being written about you, or there's social media posts making memes about a bad play you made? That stuff's important to me, especially, you know, in a market like Toronto, for using Toronto specifically, but it's not a whole lot different in Vancouver, Montreal, whatever it is. These are pressure-packed places to play. So it's only part of the puzzle, Borny. But for me, you know, I don't have the Books experience where I ran a draft. So I allow him to look at that hockey side. And then we come together at the end and we put all the puzzle pieces together, not as extensively as what an NHL team would be. But I think when you add in Ailish, some of her questions and what she has to ask, you get a pretty good picture in about 15 minutes of what that player is like kind of on and off the ice. Aside from what you've already seen when they're playing. So
sorry to hammer on this because I'm very fascinated in the process. If Books is showing a player video clips, is he showing him clips of like an NHL play, a different play, and saying, what do you think should happen here to see if he understands the game? Or is it a clip of that player and be like, what were you seeing here specifically?
Yeah. It's a clip of the player.
The player themselves.
Because his video vault at the Pro Hockey Group is like, it's insane, crazy, right? So he has all kinds of stuff and he's drawing lines and shadows and all kinds of stuff on there, right? So, and it's meaningful, and you see how it could react even to what he's being asked there. And Book's like, he knows a lot of people, so he's asking questions, and some guys are shocked by, well, what do you mean? What are you asking me this question for? Like, how did you know about that? Mm-hmm. Right. So again, when you put the three of us in the room and whoever else it is that comes down there and is asking questions, I think you get a pretty good sense when someone walks out. Like I can honestly say that there's been players that have walked out of the room and I've said, there is not a chance in hell I would ever touch that guy.
That's funny.
What do you, I mean, you talk to a ton of NHL people and like with Books, like, what is the weirdest question you've heard of an NHL team asking a player? You got one off the top of your head?
So we ask that question sometimes in our interviews. Like, what's the craziest question you've got so far? And I think someone who interviewed with the Montreal Canadiens last year, they asked the question, you just got back to the whole, you woke up and you saw Nick Suzuki stumbling down the hallway at 3 a.m. missing curfew. Do you go to the coach and report it or not?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question.
No, it isn't.
Well, you say no, you don't. But then you're like, well, then are you not going to tell on, if you won't tell on a first line guy, will you tell on a fourth line guy?
No, I'm a good team guy.
Okay.
Beat it.
You know, but you can understand how that would be construed as like, oh, yeah, you're not going to be a truth.
Is sitting in front of you, asking you that question point blank.
Yes.
You might feel a little bit different. Do you appease him and say what you think he wants to hear? Do you throw Nick Suzuki under the bus, right? So again, please understand that that's a hypothetical.
Of course.
That Nick Suzuki, wasn't drunk walking down the hallway. Like, but that is one question that was asked in the Montreal interview last year from what we were told from the players that we talked to.
That's fantastic.
So the other market that we're playing live in right now is Calgary. They got this 6th overall pick, which I'm bothered that they have 6th, but it's not a bad draft to be 6th, I suppose. Any insight into what direction they may go, what they may like to do at that spot?
So there's going to be a defenseman, a premium defenseman available there. Yeah. So that's going to be open to them. If they want to jump and be a little aggressive, there's the two centers, right? Everyone wants centers. So Malhotra will be off the board by then.
Yeah.
You're looking at Vigo Bjork, but he's 5'9", 177 pounds. Are you okay with that, projecting him at the
You already
center
got
ice
that
level?
on D
Or
with
is-
Perek, don't you? I know Perek's not small, but he's light and shifty.
5'9".
But do you want that at the center position? And is this guy going to be Braden Point?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't want to pass on Braden Point. Or do you go with a Tynan Lawrence, who has had a really fascinating year in that started great at the Holinka, was the 16-year-old MVP of the USHL playoffs last year, had a freak accident, played in fits and spurts while the USHL in Muskegon got him back to health. And then he says, okay, I want to go play in college because I want to be compared to McKenna and I want to be compared to Verhoff. So I think I should go over there and see if I can play at a level and make it an apples to apples comparison. Well, it didn't work out perfectly for him, but I do believe he's got enough credit and currency from what he's done in the past as a 6'1" guy who's a worker bee, who goes to all areas of the ice, who should be able to produce for you. So, the defenseman for sure is going to be there, but do you jump on a center like Bjork or Tynan Lawrence there?
So you mentioned the trade up situation, and it feels like it's often talked about, but it doesn't happen a ton. Like, do you think there's a potential for that this year? Like you said, with the centers or one of these D-men that a team really loves, like it would be exciting to see a big, like to trade up into the top 3 or, God forbid, to at least do something with the first. Like it feels like it's been so long since that's happened.
Yes, it was 2003 where the first overall was traded, and that was to
Marc-Andre Fleury, right?
For Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
If I'm Toronto and I'm looking at, I have to give up a first in each of my next 2, even though I've replaced one with Nick Lodois in that deal, but that's probably going to be a 27 to 32 pick. Let's be honest here. I would be wide open to taking offers on that first overall pick to acquire additional assets.
Yeah.
But guys, like the first thing that has to happen in all of this is the Austin Matthews situation has to get figured out. And is it a situation? You darn right it is, because it's not at the end of this year. It is this year. What happened when the Toronto Maple Leafs waited till the end of Mitch Marner's year? Yeah. He just walked himself into free agency. They got lucky by being able to get a little something out of Vegas for that deal. But you can't have that happen to Austin Matthews. So the first order of business, in my opinion, is getting him back to health and telling him, here's what we plan to do. And if you feel iffy about whether he wants to be part of this thing moving forward, then I'm saying that first round pick is in play all day long. And I'd slide back to maybe 6, 7, 8, acquire a defenseman, acquire an additional first rounder so I can start building the cupboards quickly here. But if you're really excited about what Matthews says in your meeting and you fully expect him to come back and re-sign him, and maybe this is part of why Chayka was hired, because apparently he's got great relationships with the family and with Judd Moldaver, the agent. Now you're saying, all right, let's bring McKenna because he's got some Marner-like qualities to him and get him up to speed as quickly as possible so that Matthews will feel really confident about playing with this guy and be a Marner-light type of replacement for him.
Yeah, the stone, like, Chayka's been in his past in Phoenix. He was, willing to make some trades and trade up or trade. Boy, trading the first pick with the perception of him coming in here, like, I know he's got stones, but that would take some serious.
You'd have to be Stonehenge to do that. That's a different level of.
Oh my God!
But guys, but think about this for a sec. If you feel strongly that Austin Matthews isn't going to be with you beyond that 2-year window, what's the point?
Yeah,
you're going to have to start rebuilding then.
Like, but then take the McKenna and build around him. Take McKenna and build around him, I guess.
And that's fair. And that's entirely fair. If you believe that strongly in what McKenna brings to the table and you think you can build around, you're right. That's entirely fair.
Yeah.
So, Kazi, let me just turn to, we got you for another couple of minutes here. We'll just touch on the Stanley Cup playoffs that are actually happening.
God, we've talked so little about it in the last 2 days.
What? I know Montreal, Buffalo got started, and just a series I was super pumped to watch. Montreal starts off falling behind the 8 ball, but your thoughts on those two teams and where that series is at after one?
Yeah, really, really interesting. And it's cool for me because these guys have essentially built through the draft and some pretty shrewd acquisitions, right? So I'm into that. I'm absolutely fascinated to watch this Montreal thing because it's not going away anytime soon, and it's only going to get better when Reinbacher comes and Jurowski comes and so on and so forth. So I love the fact that these two teams have finally made it over the hump. I thought it was a disaster like everyone else did through November for Buffalo. But man, it's great to see the Quins like Benson. I love that guy. He's such a little grease bag.
He is
I
greasy.
just love the way.
Love it.
He's awesome, man. Like what an awesome player. Huge fan of his. And seeing the Tage Thompsons of the world and Peyton Krebs, who blew out his Achilles before his draft year in 2019, be an effective guy now, see the home guy and Alex Tuck do his thing. But it's great to watch Montreal too. Like they come with a ton to the table. You like to see Caulfield get going here, and I think that's going to be essential for the series. But these two teams, they're going to give us a good long 6 or 7 gamer, I believe.
Yeah, and it's great laundry. I watched that game last night, those two teams, and then you put on Vegas and the Ducks. I'm like, this feels like an ECHL game, these two jerseys versus it's so the least aesthetically pleasing series I think has ever happened. It's horrible. That orange and that weird like puke gold that Vegas wears is horrible combination, Sammy. I know you probably don't care about that, but it drives me insane.
Yeah, no, I get it. You're like traditionalist, so I can go with that.
It's like
but
Buffalo,
but again,
Montreal, the two nicest jerseys in the league, followed by
yeah, I know. You're right.
AHL
but
in
again,
2008.
I like watching Anaheim because, again, they've built through the draft, right? Martin Madden, the guy's been absolutely genius there. Pat Verbeek, Leo Carlson. Like, who doesn't want to watch Leo Carlson play?
Oh, my God.
You see what Lacombe's turned into. Everyone's wondering why he got 9 sheets at the start of the year. I think you're starting to understand why that is. You're seeing Quenneville, 2 old coaches with like 100 years worth of experience between them. That's a really neat dynamic to this whole series. So it's good. Colorado guys, I mean, I don't know.
Them
It's
and
going to
Carolina
be pretty
seem
tough for
destined
Minnesota.
for the finals.
Is Colorado going to lose more than 3 times on their way to it just feels like they're going to run over.
Is Carolina?
No, Colorado, I meant. Like both of them. I feel like both of them are going to lose twice before they face in the finals. They're both unbelievable.
And that might be pretty cool because if they're both relatively fresh from whatever playoff fresh looks like, that would be, and the series would be about 6,000 miles per hour.
With pace in that.
The old Rick Vive neck brace on to watch it.
This is the first time in 27 years and the 5th time in Stanley Cup playoff history 2 teams have started 6-0 or better.
Yeah,
very
there
cool.
You go.
Wow, nice, Borny.
Good stat. Who put that in the lineup? Holy double duty.
Cause thanks so much for your time.
Did you apply for the GM job?
Yeah, submitted a resume, a Chat GPT generated resume.
Nice.
No, I did not. All right, thanks, Cause. You appreciate your time,
brother. Talk soon.
Okay, guys, take care.
All right, thanks, pal. Good stuff. The draft stuff's fascinating.
I'm not good at a lot of things. Okay, in this life.
Yeah.
But I feel like one thing that I could bring to the table of a front office is a judge of character.
Okay.
And I feel like if, like Sam said, my chair is rolling around. I got to get something that's on wheels. You got the chair of doom. God, I'm rolling. I really feel one of the passions I would have if I worked for an NHL team would it be that.
Yeah.
Having these young guys come in and sitting there. And like, I get what Sammy's saying. They're hanging their head. They're not, the handshake they're not making eye contact. They don't seem confident. Like McKenna, if, for example, he goes here or he ends up in Vancouver somehow or Stenberg ends up in Vancouver, like you got to be super confident in your ability and your sort of just being as a person.
Can I tell you what muddles it? And this is really disappointing for people to hear. Some crappy people are really good players.
Oh, I get that.
No,
I totally get that. But I do think McKenna carries himself in a way that when he goes into these pre-draft meetings that you're potentially going to be at and like when they're doing stuff with the Leafs, he is going to crush it.
Yeah.
He's good because he like you brought up with Bunk that he has been the center of the hockey world since he was a young kid coming up, top prospect, consensus #1. Like his junior coach is on with the boys on the Fan Morning Show today saying like he's built for the spotlight. He's going to love it. So he's going to crush that. Yeah. I mean, crushing on the ice is important too, but eye contact, firm handshakes, the dead fish is the worst.
It is funny though. Like I think you have to find a way to separate. I like that person from that person is confident enough to excel or whatever. Because I think often it's like, didn't like that guy. He's not going to be good. And that's not how it works.
And you know what the sport that you get tricked with this the most is the NFL. Yeah. Because you talk about it all the time that these quarterbacks come in and they've been quarterbacks at a high level school.
They're the dudes.
And they just are so confident and they know everything and they seem so ready and so great. And then you get out there, it's like, oh, pick 6. It's like, oh my God, he was so confident in our meeting.
Yeah.
He looked great in shorts. What happened? It's just, it's
Gotta be
an
careful with that
inexact
stuff.
science. Like having a great drafting record to me is one of the most impressive things you can do. Like, I mean, the guy that's in charge of the Leafs, I don't know, like his drafts with the Stars
Were
are
awesome. Mark
sick.
Leach, yeah.
So we'll see. But that's a great chat with Sammy.
It was.
It's game time, presented by Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Get into some NHL stuff here. But on my TV upstairs before we got down here, I was watching the Yankees play baseball. And I don't know if you've watched them recently, but they're very good at baseball.
Yeah.
They're hitting the baseball hard and
That's
a lot.
a shame.
And they're pitching it and they're throwing it past the
Like we
hitters.
just beat them in a best of 7.
Yeah, best of 5.
Best of 5.
Yeah, beat them 3-5. So it got me thinking about baseball. It kind of got me thinking where the Jays were at. So I was just checking to see the MLB futures and what the Jays' adjusted win total is on Bet365. It's a scary number.
Yeah.
They are minus 110 on both sides of this over and under at 80.5.
Jeez, boy.
So
They've given up on the
like
laser beams.
like that is a eerily low number where if you're below 80, I mean, you're not doing it. Like you have to get into the 87 to 88 range of wins to get into that wild card conversation. You might even have to get to 90 wins. So the fact that they're projecting at that is a little bit spooky. Like they need to get hot here,
They're
Bourne.
getting old Barger Bombs back. He's coming
Yeah,
back.
but he was
Kirk will
like
come back at some point.
It was kind of a big surprise last year. Like that's
Yeah.
not to do too much Jays, but the whole thing last year was like kind of was a lot of guys had really good years.
Yeah, they did.
On the ice tonight, sorry to bring everybody down if you're a Jays fan. On the ice tonight, one game, it is the Carolina Hurricanes visiting Philly for the first time in that series. Carolina, massive favorites.
Yeah.
I think they are minus 165 on the money line.
And that's in Philly.
That's in Philly. The Flyers are plus 140.
I don't think the Flyers are going to get swept. I don't.
You don't think the last game, blowing that 2-goal lead, getting it to OT, having some chances in OT, it just felt like that was
That was your chance to make it a series?
I don't know. I that Carolina team seems like ultimate wagon status and seems kind of like
They're clicking pretty good.
They're-
You're in on Freddie now.
Well, I mean, they haven't really been. I guess he was tested a bit in the Sens series. But it just hasn't seemed like it's been. Anyways, that was Game Time presented by Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. And a reminder: this hour of Real Kyper Bourne is brought to you by Bet365.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Still got plenty to come in the back half of the show. Talk about some of the trophy finalists, some of the Dallas Stars injuries. Got some playoff hockey to discuss.
Yes.
And we will do that after this break. Welcome back to Real Kyper and Bourne. Over to you, Sam McKee.
Time now for the Acura Performance Matchup, the 2026 Acura MDX Precisely Premium. So I'm just looking at the game tonight. Carolina at Philly, Game 3, 7:30 on Sportsnet and CBC.
Yeah.
Carolina can match 2006, 7 games for their longest playoff winning streak in franchise history. The Hurricanes went on to win their first and only Stanley Cup that year.
Was it on our show yesterday that I complained about how everyone talks about Carolina? They're like, yeah, it's Carolina, though. They just win. Like, it's like not so hard to do.
Yeah, no. Like, they always are around this spot. And the joke that I have myself loved to make is that they get past these first 2 rounds in their division, and then they play a real team from the Atlantic, and they get the doors blown off them. This year, the Florida Panthers aren't lurking.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't get there this year,
yeah,
and I don't know if they'll win. I think that series against Colorado would be one of the highest flying, fantastic series you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
It'll be a pretty huge
It's just so funny that, like, the Ottawa Senators, where no one wants to face Ottawa, and then Carolina just humbled them. And so everyone's
was a
like,
close sweep, bud.
Yeah, but everyone's like, oh, but it's, Carolina, it's easy. It's like,
Yeah.
what? They can't get credit for doing that? Anyway.
No, you're right. And if back-to-back, they go up again tonight. They have a chance for back-to-back sweep. That doesn't happen a whole lot. Taylor Hall can become the 3rd oldest player to begin a postseason on a 7-game point streak, behind Jerome McGinley and Gordie Howe.
Oh, my God.
Yes, the only players to achieve the feat 34 or older, based on the age at the end of the streak, are Larry Murphy, Pascal Dupuis, and Steve Yzerman. Pascal Dupuis.
Love that.
Would not have expected that name, would you?
That's on curveball.
Yeah, I love it.
Taylor
Hall's a great ad for them.
The more I follow this, by the way, your Leafs took Nick Foligno over Taylor Hall for that playoff run.
And I'll still defend that to the day. That's what they needed.
Yeah, okay. What was I even going to complain about?
It was about Taylor Hall. I mentioned Taylor Hall, and you were going to say something.
I am really accepting of the fact that these pedigree players have the longevity.
Totally.
It's like first overall pick, weird, he's still good. And it's like, oh, Matt Duchene is still really good. And you look at the guys who are still good at 38, and these guys were just unbelievably elite their whole lives.
And Taylor Hall, I don't know if we can have a Taylor Hall debate here, but how would you grade his career?
Fantastic career, right? He hasn't won a cup, but he's won an MVP. The only thing is, he's played on 7 teams, I think, but he's been awesome. The one thing I'll give him credit for, he's evolved his game. He's not just like a power play merchant point getter. He's a worker bee now.
He had a really good year this year, 48 points in 80 games for an older player. He's had 9 points so far in 6 games. He's had an interesting career. Really hot prospect, won back-to-back Memorial Cup champ, which is insane. To win back-to-back Memorial Cups. And then
that's crazy.
Top prospect, MVP, and then kind of just bounced around. It's a very weird career.
One of the funniest things that was observed in the hiring of John Chayka in Toronto is they were saying that
trade he made for him.
Yeah, well, everyone who traded for Taylor Hall got noticeably better for having had him, except in one instance. And it was in Arizona. Just nothing worked in Arizona. It was poison.
Yeah, it was not a great spot for a while there. Anyways, that was the Acura Performance Matchup, the 2026 Acura MDX Precisely Premium.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Buffalo, Montreal last night. Sabres get off to a hot start.
Did they ever?
And
go ahead.
Tough after that.
I would say that this is not an on-the-ice critique, but I would say the music selections in Buffalo are fantastic.
Okay.
They come on the ice to Dire Straits.
These are not Kyper takes.
No. I'm sitting in the chair. I'm not giving this take. They come out to Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, which is just unbelievable.
Really
and their goal song is Kickstart Your Heart.
Yeah.
That's just, if you want to get the building
still
going.
1985 there.
And they used to have it where they had the customized goal songs.
Yeah.
Where I
hate it.
Yeah. Olofsson scored in overtime when I was there once, and they did. His was ABBA, Gimme a minute. And it got the people going. It was great.
Yeah.
But 2 great songs involved in the Buffalo Sabres.
And
that's not hardcore analysis, but great.
While we're doing non-hardcore analysis, because Dad's not here.
Yes.
The opening montage that we did on Sportsnet was to Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, so good. It was so good. I don't know the song,
I don't know
but it
the
was so
name
good.
of the song,
Yes.
but it's just it was really, really well done. So shout out to our team there.
On the ice.
On the ice, Marty St. Louis. Let's go to him.
Sure, we'll go to him
Get
and we'll go
his
on. Yeah,
overview of the
yeah,
game.
we'll go to Marty St. Louis.
Buffalo has a really good rush game. You really have to manage the puck to the neutral zone, which I thought for the most part we did, but I feel like you have to manage the puck in the O zone too. And, a lot of 50-50 battles. You got to be on the right side of it because if you lose those, it's a 3-on-2, 4-on-3. They're these come. So we have to do better there. What I liked, totally different kind of feel of the game than against Tampa. I felt our top guys got more touches in space and stuff, and that's what I liked. I liked that we battled. It wasn't the start that we wanted in the game, in the series, but we're going to keep going.
I think if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan watching Dobish's glove have a hole in it for a couple times, you'd be like, oh, sick.
Oh, come on.
Where was that? 2 days ago?
Yeah.
I thought that they kind of it's an emotional letdown.
Yeah.
It's game one. I understand it's still the playoffs, but coming off that win against Tampa, I thought the first period, they weren't asleep, but they just weren't ready.
They weren't the Canadiens.
They weren't into that. I thought for the second and third period, there was long stretches where they kind of started to take over and kind of started to get their game going. And it was early in the third when it was 4-2. They had a couple chances that if they had fired it in, it's like, okay, they would have been right back in it. I think this is going to be a long, great series.
Same here. When it was 4-2, I forget how much time was left, 12 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I thought this one's not over. Like Montreal just has the ability to do that. I thought some of the fancy stuff was fascinating. So like at 5-on-5, Montreal carries the shots by a wide margin, but expected goals were still pretty heavily in Buffalo's favor. So just speaks to getting better chances, not a ton of them, but getting good chances, which I think is tougher to goaltend for the goalie.
So Cause mentioned it. I love Zach Benson, man.
I didn't know that
I wasn't
he was
familiar
like
with his game.
this.
I wasn't familiar with his game as much.
I just was thinking when Cause was talking about that, this has become such a valued attribute.
Yes.
Like you see Porter Martone come in the league and it's immediately like, oh, he's greasy. I love that.
Yep.
Konechny's peak value is because it comes with grease.
Yep.
And Benson is not a big guy, but
He's the opposite of a big guy. In fact, he's
so many
noticeably
words I would
tiny.
use off air, but yeah, he's a real jerk.
Weasel.
Good one.
Weasel.
That's very on
Let's listen to Lindy Ruff talk about Zach Benson. Clip 1, please.
I would think so. If it was on the other side, I wouldn't want to be coaching against him. I thought his effort was tremendous. I know he made a great play on that opening goal, and he was in on drawing that first opportunity on the power play. So he had a heck of a series, and I think when you look at first playoff series, I think he was very good. I think he got off to a great start in this series now in game one, and that line gave us a great night. I thought, his effort on a lot of different plays made a difference in the game.
Yeah.
There's a clip.
That's what you want your coach to say. Effort.
Effort.
Talking about effort when he's like, you have great effort.
Yeah.
You can't ask for more than that. Great effort.
There's a Tage Thompson clip talking about Zach Benson where he says something like, he's probably one of the dumbest human beings I've ever met. Thompson said he's on Chiclets.
Yeah.
He's talking about Benson. He goes, he's just one of the dumbest guys I've ever met. That's his words, not mine. But like, there's a great, then like today I saw a press conference clip where they're asking him a question and it ends and he like looks at I think it's Greenway or something. Greenway's like, over to you. And he's like, oh, I thought it was for you. I wasn't listening. So to me, it's not like this calculated pest game that he's got. It just comes natural.
The guy.
Yeah, totally.
You know the guy.
He's in your friend group.
You know the guy. He's like, oh, what? What were you saying something to me?
Yeah.
Totally.
And he's just spearing guys behind the play and all that.
Yeah, McAvoy doesn't like him. Did he get suspended? Did I miss that?
Maybe they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, but that was greasy.
He's definitely you can't baseball swing at anyone.
Listen, I've been Chaika and McKenna. Like I saw Ridley Gregg got suspended. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Did that happen?
I know. We have an Alex Lyon too. What's up with
this? Is fantastic.
Okay.
So, journeyman goalies are often incredibly interesting guys, and I'm going to say right now that Alex Lyon fits into that. Let's play his clip. This is from today. They were doing media. His clip on being the oldest guy in the team. Clip 1.
What's it like being one of the oldest guy in this locker room?
I think actually my American League experience, I think, trained me pretty good for that. I was the oldest guy in the room for a couple of years. Like my year in Chicago, I was the oldest guy in the locker room at age like 30. So it's not really that foreign of an experience for me. Every team is different. Every organization is different. And it presents a different set of challenges. And so really, as a guy who's been with a bunch of different teams, I'm kind of like an amorphous blob to a degree where I can fit in different situations and adapt to the circumstances. And that's what I try to do. And I think that's where my value lies.
My value? My value is that I'm an amorphous blob.
That's not usually hockey speak, is it?
Pardon?
It's fantastic. But I just... It feels like every so often a team goes on a run with like a journeyman guy.
Yeah.
You know, it always,
you do for it.
It's so unpredictable. Like even, I know Tim Thomas had great years, but like he kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You think of the Flyers going to the final with Leighton.
Roman Czechmanic.
The other guy, was Antti Niemi was the goalie for Chicago when they played Leighton. Like it feels every so often you get a guy that's just, and then it's Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky for 4 straight years, but it's just...
But I think going into this playoff year, we knew that there were going to be a couple teams in the conference final where it was like, it had to be someone kind of strange.
You're right.
The most chalk we could have is Vegas, Colorado, and then what's the other side?
It would be...
do like Montreal more chalk than Buffalo? No, I guess
Buffalo won the division.
Right.
So it would be Buffalo and Carolina. That's the chalkiest you could have.
And like, it doesn't feel super chalky.
It doesn't.
So it's just a weird year that way.
So, do you think next year, okay, so this is a question about the Atlantic Division and those teams that are excelling in them are 2 teams that we didn't think necessarily, like I said yesterday, a bit ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Like, do you think next year it's going to be the Panthers are back to being the Panthers? Do you think the Lightning are going to be back to being the Lightning? Like Leafs? Like,
let me tell you. Yeah. These 2 teams, Buffalo and Montreal, are going nowhere.
Next year?
No, I mean, they are from their standings positions.
You think they'll be at the top again?
They are not frauds.
No, they're not.
The Buffalo Sabres D-core is unbelievable.
Truly.
The Montreal Canadiens' best players are young and getting better. Mm-hmm. And even they got more guys on the way.
Yeah.
They got that Michael Hage, who's still not there. I
saw one of their prospects won the WHL MVP.
Yeah.
I'm like, they got this guy too?
I know. Jacob Fowler might be the best goalie prospect in the league. He's a backup.
There was only 7 rounds. Like, how many draft picks are they making?
And Buffalo, a lot of these guys are just getting better too. And, Zach Benson among them. So they're not going anywhere. So I think there's a lot of talk out there that, like, you wait, Florida's going to get healthy and come back. And all of a sudden, Brad Marchand's still old. And Reinhart and Kachuk and Barkov and all these guys are 30 plus.
No, you're right.
Jones, not a young team. Bobrovsky.
By the way, that's Bryce Pickford. There you go. Who won the MVP in the award in the WHL?
Congratulations to Pick Briceford.
Pick Briceford. 3rd round pick of the Canadiens in 22. Come on. Come on. Just trade a couple of these guys. God, that's sickening.
To your club. So the Ducks get one.
Yeah.
Ducks get one. 3-1 victory in Vegas. Series doesn't start till team loses at home.
Did you check the box score?
Oh, what?
Did you check the box score? I'm just asking.
I mean, no.
Okay, I did. I had a look. Of course, we'll have a look.
Let's hear it.
-3 and a 3-1 loss for Mitch Marner.
Okay.
God, we needed that. What a week for the Leafs fans, man. Like, if there's not a ton of bad stuff looming, if Vegas goes out and the Habs go out, the only thing left, Freddie, and Freddie's, you can have.
You like him.
I don't like him at all.
Okay.
In fact, I hold a ton of, I resent his time here totally.
Never mind.
But I can live with him being the goalie for an absolute wagon that goes to the final. I can live with that.
But before we tap out, why don't we play Torts' clip? He's talked a little bit about the Ducks' speed here, and they have a lot of it.
Clip 1.
Yeah, well, they're a fast team, and we know that going in. I think a little bit. I think we need to get back quicker to the puck to give us an opportunity to look up the ice. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't because of the forechecking. But I have to look at the game again. I like some of the things. We're going to have to get some big plays. You know, there were some almost, and we just didn't complete the next play. They split here. We got to go in and try to get a game out of there. And we're going to keep our composure, get about our business. As I've said, this team has always been really good in these type of situations. So I have full confidence we're going to try to fight our way.
This feels like, to me, kind of Western Habs Lightning.
Yeah.
Where, like, they're the team that's been around. They've done it a lot. I just watched those Ducks fly, man. They fly together. What the hell was that?
I'm going to go ahead and wear one thing. I said that I didn't care for the Carlson edition for the Ducks. To me, it was like they weren't good enough for it to matter. So why make that deal? And all of a sudden, it's like he's this anchor back there. Gives them the chance to get the puck up to the speed of their forwards. Makes so much sense.
And has a bright orange Bauer 4500. I don't know where the heck he got that one, but
I got to tell you, that's tough. I mean, the Bauer 4500 full points, but the fact
bright orange.
Got to be a traffic cone out there. All right. Well, thank you very much to JD Bunkis, who joined us in the first hour. Sam Cosentino, a lot of fun. We will be back tomorrow. I think I'm going to have Carolyn Cameron join me.
Love it.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Check in with us tomorrow. We will see you then.